Welcome to Steno Compendium. Get ready for the dictation.
5 seconds. The Indian people have risen, resolute both in their solidarity and their resistance in cities and towns and even villages across the country. People of various faiths and identities have spilled out in hundreds of thousands with no single leader at the vanguard of this rising are young people and working class Muslim women. Its icons are Mahatma Gandhi and Baba Saheb Ambedkar, and its symbols, the tricolor and the constitution. The national anthem, sung rousingly in every protest, has become a protest chant. With fear and silence, broken voices of dissent ring out. We are stirred by defiant poetry and slogans celebrating our solidarity and freedom, the country, and the constitution. It is a movement without precedent in the journey of the republic, but many wonder if the movement will succeed, whether it will weary and whimper out, whether it will be crushed, and where it will finally lead. Those who worry about success make the character of the resistance. It is a grave error to view this merely as a battle against the CAA, NRIC, NPR Trinity. It is a rebellion against the audacity of a government asking citizens to prove they belong. It is a warning that the government must listen to its people. It is an uprising against a government which demonizes students, dissenters, and minorities. It is the rejection of its failures to address the hopeless realities of everyday life and joblessness, farm distress, violence against women, and a broken economy. It is apparent that the movement has already succeeded in numerous ways. Its paramount success is that it is the first national movement for Hindu Muslim unity after Mahatma Gandhi was taken away from us. Indeed, it is a movement for the unity of people of various religious and caste identities. When poor Sikh farmers camp cold nights in Shaheen Bagh to prepare langar with desi ghee for their protesting sisters, it represents the triumph of what is finest in our civilizational traditions. We have seen the suffering of 1947, one says. We want to ensure that this never happens again. A second success of the movement has been the repoliticalization of students in universities across the India. For too long, most universities had become sterile sites deprived of both political and ethical reflection. Today, students are teaching their elders not to hate showing the way to more caring and equal country. A third accomplishment is the reassurance to India's Muslim people. For Muslims, the past years have been harrowing and terrifying. Muslims were rendered politically irrelevant and were treated as a political liability to every party. Bigotry, hate speech, and lynching became an acceptable part of everyday life. I have traveled to protest sites in every corner of the country. In protests inspired by Shaheen Bagh, led by Muslim women, I find the mood electrically festive. Less protests, these are more celebrations of the reassurance that India still is equally their country, that the promises of Mahatma Gandhi and the constitution were not empty, that we all stand together. This same sentiment permeates rallies of lakhs I have addressed, where men in skull caps and women in hijabs joyfully wave the national flag shoulder to shoulder with Indians of other faiths. A fourth achievement is the reclaiming of the idea of nationalism by those Indians who include and unite rather than divide. Those who truly love their country would not want it to be divided by hate, fear, and violence. The resentful, divisive nationalism of the right has been fittingly replaced by the patriotism of Tagore and Gandhi, in which you love your country by loving its all people and respecting every other country. A fifth victory is in making the Constitution the soul of the people's movement. I get goosebumps each time in mass as well as street corner protests when usually led by young girls, crowds reverentially recite the preamble of the Constitution. It is apt that we, the people of India, have come together to defend the Constitution at a time when it is most threatened. It has also clearly rattled the Union government, leading it to lie that the NRC had not been its agenda, that detention centers does exist, and the obsession with Shaheen Bagh in the Delhi elections. I am convinced that the movement must ride on these brilliant successes to move into its next phase, whereas protests and rallies will continue as long as people have the stamina and conviction to persist with these. The main focus of the movement must shift to non cooperation with the NPR due to roll out from April. If the NPR is allowed, it will allow the union government at any time of its choosing to identify doubtful citizens for exclusion from a NRIC. The movement must therefore compel state governments to refuse to implement NPR and to decouple it from the census, which must continue.